Captain Jake Morrison stood in the cargo bay of New Denver Station and watched another ship dock. The alien vessel was sleek and silver, nothing like the human ships that looked like flying boxes. A group of tall, blue-skinned aliens walked down the ramp. They wore fancy uniforms with gold trim and looked at everything like they smelled something bad. "Here comes another gift," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks. She stood next to Jake and crossed her arms. "I wonder what broken junk they brought us this time." The lead alien was named Commander Zektar. He had been coming to the station for 3 years now. Every few months, he showed up with cargo containers full of what he called valuable salvage materials. Jake knew better. It was trash. Expensive trash, but still trash. "Greetings, primitive humans," Zektar said in his mechanical translator voice. "The great Zephyrian Empire has brought you another donation of advanced technology. You should be grateful for our generosity." Jake wanted to punch the alien in his smug blue face. Instead, he smiled and nodded. "Thank you, Commander. We really appreciate your help." The cargo containers were huge metal boxes. When they opened them, Jake saw the usual mess. Burned-out power cores that looked like giant batteries with holes blown through them. Twisted pieces of ship hull that had been blasted apart in some space battle, weapon parts that were missing important pieces, shield generators that sparked and smoked when you turned them on. Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan crawled out from under a pile of scrap metal. His work clothes were covered in oil and alien coolant fluid. Pete was the best engineer Jake had ever met. He could fix anything, even things that other people said were impossible to fix. "Same old story," Pete said, wiping his hands on a dirty rag. "They give us their garbage and act like they're doing us a big favor." Dr. Lisa Carter walked over with her scanner. She was the smartest person on the station. Lisa could look at any piece of alien technology and figure out how it worked. She had been studying the scrap for months and always found something interesting. "Jake, you need to see this," Lisa said. She held up a piece of metal that looked like it had been through a war. "This is part of a Mantoran plasma cannon. The aliens threw it away because the targeting computer died. But look at this." She showed him her scanner readings. "The plasma chamber is perfect. The magnetic coils are better than anything we have. They just threw it away because one small computer broke." Pete nodded and picked up another piece. "Same thing here. This is a Valkyrie shield generator. The control panel is fried, but the actual shield projector works fine. They could have fixed it in an hour, but they just bought a new one instead." Amy kicked a power core with her boot. "Rich aliens. When something breaks, they just throw it away and buy new stuff. They don't know how to fix things like we do." Jake looked around the cargo bay. There were piles of scrap everywhere. Humans in work clothes were sorting through it all, testing pieces, taking things apart. Most of the aliens in the galaxy thought humans were stupid. They thought humans were too primitive to understand advanced technology. But Jake knew something. The aliens did not know. Humans were good at fixing things. Humans were good at making old things work again. Humans were good at taking broken pieces and putting them together in new ways. "Commander Zektar," Jake called out. "This is very generous. We will put all of this to good use." The alien commander laughed. It sounded like metal scraping against metal. "I am sure you will try, primitive one. Perhaps you can make some simple tools from the materials. Do not attempt to understand the advanced systems. They are far beyond your simple minds." After the aliens left, Jake gathered his team in the main workshop. The room was full of tables covered with alien technology. Humans were everywhere, taking things apart, testing circuits, writing notes. The air smelled like metal and electricity. "Okay, people," Jake said. "What do we really have here?" Pete stood up and pointed to different piles of scrap. "We have power cores from 5 different species. Most of them just need new control circuits. We have weapons from the Mantoran Empire, the Valkyrie Republic, and the Corellian Federation. We have shield generators, sensor arrays, and hull plating from a dozen different worlds." Lisa added, The interesting thing is that each species builds differently. The Mantorans make things that are very powerful but use lots of energy. The Velkari make things that are efficient but not very strong. The Corellians make things that last forever but are hard to repair. Amy was looking at a damaged weapon. So they all have different strengths and weaknesses, but they all think their way is the only right way. Exactly, said Jake. They can't imagine combining different technologies. When a Mantoran weapon breaks, they only fix it with Mantoran parts. When a Velkari shield fails, they only replace it with another Velkari shield. Pete grinned. But we're not like that. We use whatever works. If a Mantoran power core can run a Velkari weapon better than the original Velkari power core, we'll make it work. Jake walked over to a table covered with different pieces of technology. He picked up a human computer tablet and an alien sensor unit. What if we connected our targeting computers to their weapons? What if we used our life support systems with their power cores? What if we took the best parts from every species and put them together? The room got quiet. Everyone was thinking about what Jake had said. For 3 years, they had been fixing individual pieces of scrap and using them to improve human ships. But Jake was talking about something bigger. Captain, Lisa said slowly, are you thinking what I think you're thinking? Jake looked around at his team. These were the best engineers, scientists, and mechanics in human space. They had learned to fix anything, improve everything, and make the impossible work. The aliens thought humans were too stupid to understand advanced technology. Maybe it was time to prove them wrong. The aliens see us as scavengers, Jake said. They think we're only good enough for their garbage. But what if we could take all this garbage and build something better than anything they have? Pete's eyes lit up. You mean like a ship? Not just any ship, Jake said. A ship that uses the best technology from every species. A ship built with human engineering and alien components. A ship that could show the whole galaxy what humans can really do. Amy smiled. A ship built from their trash that could kick their fancy ships all over the galaxy. Lisa was already making notes on her tablet. It would be incredibly difficult. The integration challenges alone would take months to solve. But theoretically, it's possible. Jake looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there. Alien. Commanders were laughing about the primitive humans and their scrap piles. They had no idea what humans could really accomplish when they put their minds to it. Then let's get started, Jake said. Let's show them what we can do with their garbage. The first shot of the battle came from Captain Beth Collins aboard the UES Retribution. Her quantum torpedo hit Admiral Vextar's flagship directly in the center. The massive alien ship exploded in a ball of blue fire so bright it could be seen. From Earth's surface, Admiral Vextar died instantly, along with 3,000 Zephyrian crew members. The alien who had conquered 47 worlds never knew what killed him. All around the Zephyrian fleet, space filled with human warships appearing from nowhere. 500 vessels materialized like ghosts becoming solid. The Ghost Armada had been invisible for decades, waiting for this exact moment. All ships, weapons free, Captain Beth broadcast to the human fleet. Let them know they picked the wrong planet. The Zephyrians were caught completely by surprise. Their formation was designed to attack a helpless planet, not to defend against enemy warships appearing inside their ranks. Panic spread through their communications as commanders tried to understand what was happening. Where did these ships come from? Screamed Commander Krelock from his bridge. Our scanners detected no enemy fleet. But there was no time for answers. Human ships were firing from every direction. Quantum torpedoes and plasma cannons lit up the darkness of space. The aliens had expected to fight primitive rockets and chemical explosives. Instead, they faced weapons more advanced than anything in their empire. Engineer Tony Baker watched from his control center as his ships performed perfectly. 30 years of secret research had paid off. Human technology was not just equal to the Zephyrians, It was better. "Ghost fleet engaging enemy," Tony reported to Admiral Kate Sullivan. "Our stealth systems are working perfectly. They cannot target what they cannot see." From the moon, General Paul Wright fired the first salvo from his hidden railguns. Streams of metal projectiles shot across space at nearly the speed of light. Each shot was guided by Dr. Laura Kane's quantum targeting system, hitting alien ships with perfect accuracy. The projectiles hit with the force of nuclear bombs. 12 Zephyrian battleships exploded in the first 30 seconds of the battle. The aliens had never faced weapons that could strike from such a long distance with such power. "Luna base to all units," General Paul announced. "Railguns are firing continuously. We are eliminating enemy capital ships." Behind the Zephyrian fleet, Commander Steve Adams led his strike force in the final surprise. 80 human ships emerged from the asteroid belt and attacked the aliens from behind. The Zephyrians found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. Deep. "Strike force engaging rear elements," Steve reported. "Enemy ships are trying to retreat, but we have them trapped." Dr. Kevin Martinez coordinated the entire battle from his command center. His screen showed every human ship and every alien target. The quantum communication network allowed all human forces to work together as one giant weapon. "Enemy fleet is in full disorder," Kevin announced. "They are trying to regroup, but our attack pattern is preventing organized resistance." The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds using the same tactics: arrive with overwhelming force, demand surrender, destroy any resistance quickly. But humanity had studied those tactics for 30 years and planned accordingly. Captain Ryan Torres watched from his space station as alien ships exploded all around Earth. The mighty Zephyrian fleet was being torn apart by weapons they could not understand and ships they could not detect. "Command, this is incredible," Ryan reported. "The alien formation is completely broken. They are firing randomly, hitting their own ships as often as ours." Dr. Amy Foster's weapons proved their worth in the chaos of battle. Human plasma cannons cut through Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. Quantum torpedoes destroyed alien battleships with single hits. The advanced armor that had protected the Zephyrians for centuries was useless against human firepower. All weapon systems performing beyond expectations, Amy reported from her laboratory. Enemy defenses are proving completely inadequate. The Zephyrians tried to fight back, but their weapons could not hit targets they could not see. Human stealth. Technology made most of the Ghost Fleet completely invisible to alien sensors. The few ships the aliens could target moved too fast to hit effectively. Commander Krelock, now in command of what remained of the Zephyrian fleet, tried desperately to organize a retreat. But human ships surrounded the aliens on all sides. Every escape route was blocked by invisible enemies with superior weapons. "All ships, withdraw from this system," Krelock ordered. "We cannot fight enemies we cannot see." But it was too late for retreat. Dr. Laura Kane's communication network had been listening to Zephyrian transmissions throughout the battle. She knew exactly what the aliens were planning before they did it. "Enemy attempting to retreat," Laura reported. "Deep strike force, move to intercept escape routes." Commander Steve Adams positioned his ships to block the only path out of the solar system. The Zephyrians were trapped like animals in a cage. The battle lasted exactly 12 minutes. In that time, the entire Zephyrian invasion fleet was destroyed. 10,000 alien warships were reduced to glowing debris floating in space. Not a single human vessel was lost. Captain Beth Collins broadcast a message to any surviving Zephyrians. "This is Captain Beth Collins of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your invasion has failed completely. Any ships attempting to leave this system will be destroyed." A few damaged alien vessels tried to escape, but human ships hunted them down quickly. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest fleet had been wiped out entirely. President Alex Carter appeared on screens around the world to address humanity. His fake fear was gone, replaced by quiet pride. "People of Earth, the threat has been eliminated. Humanity is safe." But the real message was broadcast to the entire galaxy. Dr. Kevin Martinez sent it on frequencies that every civilization could receive. The message was simple but clear. "This is Earth calling all worlds," the message began. "The Zephyrian Empire sent 10,000 ships to conquer our planet. All 10,000 ships have been destroyed. Earth is not defenseless. Any species that threatens our world will face the same fate." The message included video of the battle, showing human ships appearing from nowhere and destroying the mighty Zephyrian fleet in minutes. Every civilization in the galaxy would see what happened when someone attacked Earth. Admiral Kate Sullivan addressed the few Zephyrian survivors who had been rescued from the wreckage. "You attacked us because you thought we were weak. You were wrong. Take this message back to your empire. Earth is under our protection. Any further aggression will result in the complete destruction of your military forces." Within hours, the news spread across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire, conquerors of 847 worlds, had been defeated by a species they thought was primitive. The balance of power in the galaxy had changed forever. Dr. Lisa Adams monitored alien communications as word of the battle spread. Fear was replacing arrogance in the voices of potential enemies. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Other species are reconsidering their expansion plans, Lisa reported. Several aggressive empires have canceled planned invasions of nearby systems. Captain Ryan Torres looked down at Earth from his space station. The blue planet looked exactly the same as it had that morning, but everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and they were no longer afraid. The species that had hidden for 30 years had revealed themselves as the galaxy's newest apex predator. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remained on the countdown. Admiral Vexitar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth turn slowly below him. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and defenseless. Soon it would be nothing but burning rock and ash. "All ships report weapons charged," announced his second-in-command, Commander Krelock. "We can reduce this world to molten slag in under 1 hour." Admiral Vexitar nodded with satisfaction. This conquest was proceeding exactly like all the others. The humans would realize their hopeless situation and surrender at the last moment. If they did not surrender, they would die. Either way, the Zephyrian Empire would claim another victory. "Begin scanning for their military installations," Vexitar ordered. "I want to know where their leaders are hiding." The Zephyrian scanners swept across Earth's surface, looking for weapons and fortifications. They found exactly what humanity wanted them to find: a few missile bases with primitive rockets, some naval ships with simple guns, military airports with basic fighter jets. Everything looked weak and outdated. "Admiral, their technology is even more primitive than we thought," Commander Krelock reported. "Their most advanced weapons appear to be chemical rockets. No energy shields, no plasma cannons, no particle beams. This world has nothing that could threaten our smallest ship." Vexitar laughed. Chemical rockets. He had not seen such primitive weapons since his first conquest 30 years ago. The humans were even more backward than the Zephyrians had guessed. 1 minute and 45 seconds remained. In the underground command center, Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the alien scans with amusement. The Zephyrians were looking right at Earth's secret defenses and could not see them. 30 years of careful planning had paid off perfectly. "They are scanning the shield generators and seeing weather stations," reported Dr. Kevin Martinez. "They looked directly at the underground railgun facility, and their computers labeled it as a subway tunnel." Kate smiled grimly. Human engineers had learned to think like aliens. Every secret weapon was disguised as something harmless. Every military base looked like a civilian facility. The Zephyrians saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. "Dr. Adams, what are they saying to each other?" Kate asked. Dr. Lisa Adams listened to the alien communications with growing satisfaction. "They are joking about how easy this conquest will be." Admiral Vexitar is already planning the victory celebration. He thinks this will be over in minutes. 1 minute and 20 seconds remained. Captain Ryan Torres continued his performance from the space station. Command, I am detecting massive energy buildup in their weapon systems. These ships could destroy entire continents with a single volley. This was not an act. The Zephyrian ships really were that powerful. Each battleship carried enough firepower to level a major city. 10,000 such ships could turn Earth into a dead rock in less than an hour. But the aliens had made one critical mistake. They thought humanity was alone. All Guardian units, this is Admiral Sullivan, Kate broadcast. On the secret channel. Prepare for Operation Prometheus. Wait for my signal. Across the solar system, human forces made their final preparations. On the moon, General Paul Wright's railguns locked onto their targets. In the asteroid belt, Commander Steve Adams positioned his strike fleet for maximum surprise. Near Pluto, Captain Beth Collins powered up the engines of the Ghost Armada. 1 minute remained. Admiral Vexitar decided to give the humans one final chance to surrender. He opened a communication channel to Earth and spoke in his most commanding voice. Humans of Earth, 60 seconds remain. I see your primitive weapons and feel pity for your situation. Surrender now, and the Zephyrian Empire will allow half of your population to live as workers. Refuse, and every human in this system will die today. President Alex Carter appeared on screen from the White House, his face filled with fake terror. Admiral Vexitar, please have mercy. Our people are peaceful. We have no weapons that could threaten your mighty fleet. This was exactly what Vexitar wanted to hear. The human leader was begging for mercy. The planet was defenseless. This conquest would be even easier than he had hoped. Then you surrender, Vexitar asked. President Carter looked around desperately, as if consulting with advisors who were telling him to give up. We need more time to evacuate our cities. Time is what you do not have, Vexitar replied coldly. 30 seconds remain. Behind the scenes, President Carter was actually giving the final activation code for humanity's greatest secret. His words about evacuation were the signal that every human commander had been waiting for. 25 seconds remained. Dr. Kevin Martinez's fingers flew across his control panel. All across the solar system, sleeping systems began to wake up. Weapons that had been hidden for 30 years started to power up. Ships that had been invisible for decades prepared to reveal themselves. Phoenix Command to all units, Kevin announced. On the secret channel, Guardian Protocol is now active. All systems are go. 20 seconds remained. Engineer Tony Baker watched as 500 invisible ships prepared for battle. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering, combining alien technology with human creativity. They were faster than Zephyrian ships, more maneuverable, and much harder to detect. Ghost Fleet standing by, Tony reported. All captains report ready for immediate action. 15 seconds remained. Captain Beth Collins looked at her tactical display aboard the UES Retribution. Around her ship, 499 other vessels waited in perfect formation. These were humanity's finest warriors, trained for decades for this exact moment. All ships, this is Retribution, Beth whispered into her headset. Lock weapons on target. Prepare to decloak on my mark. 10 seconds remained. Admiral Vexitar smiled as he watched the countdown reach its final moments. In 10 seconds, he would give the order to fire. The human planet would become another trophy for the Zephyrian Empire. His name would be added to the list of great conquerors. 5 seconds remained. Weapons ready, Commander Krelock reported. All ships prepared to open fire. 3 seconds remained. Admiral Kate Sullivan took a deep breath. 30 years of preparation came down to this moment. Humanity's survival depended on the next few minutes. 2 seconds remained. All Guardian units, Kate spoke calmly into her microphone. This is Admiral Sullivan. Operation Prometheus is now authorized. Show them what humanity really is. 1 second remained. The countdown reached 0. Admiral Vextar opened his mouth to give the order to destroy Earth. But before he could speak, something impossible happened. Space around his fleet erupted in light and fire as 500 human warships appeared from nowhere, their weapons already firing. Commander Jake Miller sat in the dark control room deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain. The blue glow from dozens of computer screens lit up his tired face. He had been watching the stars for 12 hours straight, waiting for something that might never come. But tonight was different. Tonight, the silence of space was about to break. "Sir, we have something," called out Sergeant Danny Clark from across the room. His voice was tight with worry. "Big something coming from the outer system." Jake walked over to Danny's station and looked at the screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Thousands of red dots were moving toward Earth. They were still far away, but they were coming fast. Very fast. "Get Dr. Lisa Adams down here right now," Jake ordered. "And wake up Admiral Kate Sullivan. Tell her we have visitors." Dr. Lisa Adams arrived 15 minutes later, still wearing her pajamas under a lab coat. She was the best language expert on Earth, the person who could talk to aliens if they ever showed up. Everyone hoped that day would never come. Everyone was wrong. "What do we have, Jake?" Lisa asked, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Listen to this," Jake said, pressing a button on his console. Strange sounds filled the room. It was clearly a language, but unlike anything humans had ever heard. The words were sharp and angry, like metal scraping against stone. Even without understanding the words, everyone in the room could feel the threat in that voice. Lisa listened, carefully, her face growing pale. She had studied every human language and many theoretical alien ones. This was real. This was actually happening. "Can you understand any of it?" Jake asked. "Give me a few minutes," Lisa said, sitting down at a computer. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she ran the sounds through her translation programs. The computer tried to find patterns, tried to make sense of the alien words. Admiral Kate Sullivan burst through the door 20 minutes later. She was a tall woman with gray hair and steel blue eyes. She had fought in 3 wars and never lost a battle, but this was different. This was not a human enemy. "Report," she ordered. "Unknown fleet approaching Earth," Jake said. "Estimated 10,000 ships. They sent a message. Dr. Adams is working on translation." Kate looked at the screen showing all the red dots. 10,000 ships. Earth had maybe 50 space vessels, and most of those were just cargo haulers and research ships. The math was simple and terrifying. "How long until they get here?" Kate asked. 6 hours at current speed," Danny reported. Lisa suddenly stood up from her computer. Her face was white as paper. "I got most of it translated," she said. "This is not good at all." She pressed play on her computer. The alien voice filled the room again, but now human words appeared on the screen as the translation program worked. "Primitive species of the 3rd planet. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 847 worlds. Your planet is now ours. You have 10 minutes to surrender completely when we arrive, or we will destroy every living thing on your world. Resistance is impossible. Surrender is your only choice." The room fell silent. 10 minutes. After 6 hours of travel, they would give Earth 10 minutes to give up or die. 847 worlds, Kate whispered. "They have done this before. Many times." Jake felt sick to his stomach. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was worse than any nightmare. "We need to contact the president," Kate said, "and the Global Defense Council. Everyone needs to know." "What can we possibly do against 10,000 ships?" Danny asked. "We have nothing that can fight something like that." Kate looked at him with a strange expression. "Maybe we do," she said quietly. "Jake, activate Protocol Omega. Full authorization." Jake stared at her. Protocol Omega was just a theory. a plan that nobody thought would ever be needed. "Are you sure, Admiral?" "Do it," Kate ordered. Jake typed a long code into his computer. Red lights began flashing throughout the underground facility. A voice came over the speakers. "Protocol Omega is now active. All personnel to emergency stations." Meanwhile, high above them in orbit, Captain Ryan Torres was having the worst day of his life. He commanded the space station New Horizon, Earth's most advanced outpost. Through his telescope, he could see them coming. The alien ships looked like dark metal mountains flying through space. "Control, this is New Horizon," Ryan said into his radio. "I have visual contact with the hostile fleet. These ships are huge. Each one is bigger than our entire space station." Back in the underground command center, more people were arriving. Scientists, military officers, and government officials filled the room. Everyone looked scared, but they were trying to stay calm. President Alex Carter appeared on the main screen via video link. He was in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by his advisors. "Admiral Sullivan, what are our options?" "Mr. President, we are implementing Protocol Omega," Kate replied. "Dr. Kevin Martinez is being brought in to oversee the technical aspects." "Protocol Omega?" the president asked. "I thought that was just a theoretical exercise." "It was, sir. Until now." Dr. Kevin Martinez arrived at the facility 30 minutes later. He was a thin man with wild gray hair and thick glasses. He looked like a typical scientist, but his eyes were sharp and focused. He carried a briefcase that he guarded like it contained the secrets of the universe. Maybe it did. "How long until they arrive?" Kevin asked as soon as he entered the room. 5 hours and 20 minutes, Jake replied. Kevin nodded and opened his briefcase. Inside were devices that nobody in the room recognized. "Good. That should be enough time to wake them up." "Wake what up?" Lisa asked. Kevin smiled for the first time since arriving. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who knew a secret that would change everything. "The Guardians," he said simply. "The Guardians of Earth." On the main screen, the countdown continued. 5 hours, 19 minutes, until the alien fleet arrived. 5 hours, 19 minutes until humanity learned if they would survive their first contact with the stars. But in the dark depths of space, far from Earth, something was stirring. Something that had been waiting and watching for exactly this moment. The Zephyrian Empire thought they were about to conquer another helpless world. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. 30 years ago, Colonel Mike Davis was having a normal Tuesday morning in the Nevada desert. He was leading a routine training exercise when his radio crackled to life with an urgent message. A strange object had crashed 20 miles from their position. The military wanted his team to investigate immediately. Mike gathered his soldiers and drove across the empty desert to the crash site. What he found changed everything humanity thought they knew about the universe. A silver ship, unlike anything, built on Earth, lay broken in the sand. It was about the size of a small airplane, but its design was completely alien. Smooth curves and strange symbols covered its surface. "Stay back," Mike ordered his men. "We don't know if it's dangerous." The ship was clearly damaged. Black smoke poured from cracks in its hull. As Mike approached carefully, a section of the ship opened like a flower. Inside, he saw something that made his heart stop. It was not human. The creature was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. It wore a suit made of some unknown material. The alien was badly hurt and barely alive. When it saw Mike, it tried to speak, but the words were in a language Mike had never heard. Mike radioed for medical help and scientists. Within hours, the crash site was surrounded by military vehicles and research teams. Dr. Amy Foster was one of the first scientists to arrive. She was young then, just starting her career in advanced technology. What she saw that day would become her life's work. "It's incredible," Amy whispered as she examined the ship. "This technology is hundreds of years ahead of anything we have." The alien died 3 days later, but not before Dr. Lisa Adams had learned some of its language. The creature called itself a Zephyrian scout. It spoke of a great empire that controlled hundreds of worlds. It warned that more ships would come looking for it. General Paul Wright took charge of the situation. He was a careful man who understood that this discovery could either save humanity or destroy it. "We have two choices," he told The Secret. "Committee formed to handle the alien crash. We can announce this to the world, or we can keep it secret and prepare." "Prepare for what?" asked Captain Beth Collins, one of the military's best pilots. "For the day they come back," Paul replied. The TASE committee chose secrecy. They moved the alien ship to a hidden facility and began studying it. Dr. Amy Foster worked day and night to understand the alien technology. Engineer Tony Baker helped her reverse engineer the ship's systems. What they learned was both amazing and terrifying. The Zephyrian scout ship had technology that could travel between stars in weeks instead of years. Its weapons could destroy entire cities with a single shot. Its shields could stop any weapon humans had ever built. But most importantly, it had a communication system that could send messages across vast distances instantly. "If one scout ship has this technology," Amy explained to the committee, "imagine what their war fleet must have." Using the alien communication system, Commander Steve Adams began listening to Zephyrian transmissions from deep space. What he heard made everyone realize how much danger Earth was in. The Zephyrians were conquerors. They traveled from world to world, demanding surrender or destroying everything. "They have attacked 47 planets in the last 10 years, Steve reported. "Every single one fell within hours. They take prisoners as slaves and strip the planets of all resources." The committee realized that Earth's only hope was to prepare in secret. They created Project Guardian, a plan to build a hidden military force that could defend the planet when the Zephyrians finally arrived. Dr. Laura Kane was brought in to design communication networks that the aliens could not detect. She created quantum transmitters that could coordinate military actions across the entire solar system instantly. These devices would let human forces work together even when separated by millions of miles. General Paul Wright began construction of secret bases throughout the solar system. The largest was built on the far side of the moon, where Earth's telescopes could not see it. Workers were told they were building research facilities, but they were actually constructing the largest shipyard humans had ever attempted. Captain Beth Collins was put in charge of training a new type of soldier. Using captured alien flight simulators, she taught pilots how to fight in zero gravity and how to use advanced weapons. These pilots would become the crew of humanity's secret fleet. The hardest part was keeping everything hidden from the world. The alien crash was explained as a weather balloon accident. The new military spending was hidden in other government programs. Thousands of people worked on Project Guardian, but most of them never knew what they were really building. Engineer Tony Baker designed humanity's greatest achievement, the Ghost Fleet. These ships used stealth technology copied from the alien scout ship, but improved with human engineering. The ships could become completely invisible to any scanner the Zephyrians had. "Their technology is advanced," Tony explained, "but they build everything the same way. They think one design fits all situations. Human engineering is different. We adapt and improve." Dr. Amy Foster created weapons that were more powerful than anything in the alien arsenal. She combined human creativity with alien science to build devices that could destroy ships much larger than anything humanity had ever built. For 30 years, Project Guardian grew in secret. Hundreds of warships were built and hidden throughout the solar system. Thousands of soldiers were trained in alien combat techniques. Advanced weapons were created and tested in remote locations. The world went on as normal. People lived their lives not knowing that above their heads, a secret war was being prepared. Politicians argued about Earth problems while military leaders planned for a battle among the stars. Commander Steve Adams continued monitoring Zephyrian communications. He learned their military strategies, their weak points, and their plans for conquest. Most importantly, he learned that they always underestimated their enemies. "They expect quick surrenders," Steve reported. "They have never fought an enemy that was prepared for them." Every world they conquered was surprised and unprepared. The committee realized this was humanity's greatest advantage. The Zephyrians would expect Earth to be helpless, just like all the other worlds they had conquered. They would not be ready for organized resistance. As the years passed, Project Guardian became the most successful secret in human history. Earth appeared to be a normal, peaceful planet with basic technology. But hidden beneath this appearance was a military force that would shock the galaxy. Now, 30 years later, that preparation was about to be tested. The Zephyrian Empire was finally coming to Earth, expecting another easy conquest. They had no idea that humanity had been watching them and preparing for this moment for 3 decades. The greatest secret in human history was about to be revealed.